Bobby! Bobby! What the fuck? We are talking about the horror movie Penance Lane, and this one is directed by Peter Engert, and it's got a relatively decent cast here. Scout Taylor-Compton seems to be becoming a very prolific screen queen these days. She was, of course, Laurie Strode in the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. You've got Tyler Mane, a one-time Sabretooth in the X-Men series, and I believe he was also in the Rob Zombie Halloween. You've got John Schneider in a role here, and Daniel Roebuck as well. You've also got a couple of other kind of wrestling characters, or not characters, actors, performers that will turn up. Diamond Dallas Page and Booker T both have small roles within this movie, and I think Tyler Mane may have been a wrestler, and this maybe is why they are involved. Anyway, so what's the story? It focuses on Tyler Mane's character called Crimson Matthews, and he is an ex-con just got out of the joint, and he is heading towards this small American town. Now, he has befriended Booker T's character. We see some flashbacks of when they were in prison together. So he is heads to this kind of small American town, and he's obviously not welcomed by the seemingly small-minded residents there. But he befriends a young girl played by Scout Taylor-Compton and her mother, and then gets a job essentially doing up this old house, which seems to be dilapidated. However, this house also has a secondary motive about why Tyler Mane's character is there. It seems to be the property where some years before it was used in a crime, and there may be some money stashed there, and he's there to try and kind of reclaim it. However, there may be something more sinister going on in this house than we first realise, and as to what that is, we will have to watch the movie to find out. So let's discuss. Okay, so I actually watched this movie, then I read a couple of reviews here, and I've got to say the reviews weren't too kind, but I got to say I actually quite enjoyed this movie. And I do think some of the reviews that I've read, I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, were a little bit unfair. This was quite a fun movie, I have to say, and somewhat original. It has shades of People Under the Stairs, but I think it's somewhat kind of an interesting premise when you kind of realise what's going on. It has elements of many different kind of horror movies. People Under the Stairs, as I've mentioned. Things like maybe Hostel, Saw to a degree, a few other kind of ones that I kind of don't want to say. I think the movie buries its lead a little bit in regards to what the actual plot is about. When we first go into our first scene, this is where we see Booker T kind of going into this house in like a flashback, and it appears there may be some type of a supernatural kind of entity that's there. But the truth will be revealed as the movie progresses, and it may be something surprising, but maybe something even more dangerous. So I actually thought this movie had quite a good storyline, and I actually quite liked Tyler Mane, who is actually a producer on this movie as well, in the role of Crimson, who is a likeable, I want to say anti-hero, because he is a bad guy, and his character, you know, he is a bad guy and has done bad things, and, you know, he is more of a layered character than we would normally get in some of these horror films, where you have the cookie cutter good guy and, you know, and all of that sort of stuff. He is a guy who has made mistakes, and I've got to say I actually quite enjoyed the interplay with him and the kind of like the daughter and the mum from the kind of the local cafe, and the mum's kind of like flirting with him, and he's just kind of like, you're not interested. I would have been all over that, just saying, but you know, I actually thought it was some good acting, to be honest with you. And I actually thought the plot was pretty interesting, although there are a few plot holes. It's difficult to really tell you what they are without kind of really spoiling the movie, so I don't want to do that. Suffice it to say, there are a couple of plot holes here, and things may be a little bit hard to believe. As when all is revealed and we realise the extent of maybe what has gone on here, it seems a little bit hard to believe and kind of stretches the credibility of maybe what we could accept is going on in this movie, which I would say is maybe the main criticism. And I feel the, you know, people may be expecting it to go as one way and it kind of goes another way. And there, you could argue maybe there's a little bit of too many ideas going on at once here. Especially when we could, let's just say the antagonist here reveals the plans in a very kind of James Bond villain sort of style way. It's maybe a little bit OTT. But it doesn't. It does make for an entertaining movie with a solid bad guy, and kind of a likable and affable good guy. And then this good guy is kind of like, I guess you know, he's a bit like the Punisher. He's kind of like an anti-hero, so to speak. But we do feel like there's a good connection between like him and this like, you know, the young girl who is not really young in real life. She's 31, but playing a teenager. Hate when they do that. But nonetheless. This is a solid movie with some decent special effects. It does leave some questions unanswered, I will say, and sometimes you wonder the point of why the bad guys are doing certain things and that kind of stuff. Again, I'm going to try and be as vague as I can with this one. But I enjoyed it. I actually got to say, this movie had me hooked, and the storyline to me was pretty intriguing. It is kind of a big movie. Yes, it is kind of cheap. And I thought the acting was good, but it's you know, it's Hollywood style characters, it's not really kind of like played for gritty realism and things like that. But to me, it's a solid and very enjoyable, watchable, straight to kind of DVD, VOD movie. I would give this one a 7 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.